War Eagle War Rapport family, I'm your host C-Dub, and tonight the fellas will preview week 4 and look at all of the SEC games this upcoming weekend. We'll also preview Georgia State versus Auburn, and we'll give our predictions on that game as well. So you definitely don't want to miss that. For now, sit back, get your weight up, because tonight we enter the war room.
You are now listening to the War Rapport. Wednesday night War Room. Brought to you by Auburn Sports.com. Ike Jones. B. Will. C. Mike G. Let's go!
War Eagle, War Rapport family, happy Wednesday, happy hump day to you guys. Thanks again for tuning in to the latest Wednesday night War Room, brought to you by our friends at auburnsports.com. Guys, for your latest intel regarding recruiting, as well as information surrounding Auburn athletics, Auburn Sports got you covered. Be sure to head on over there. They'll be updating you throughout the week. Definitely got you covered there. Shout out to JG Tate, Ryan Matthews, and those guys over there for doing a great job throughout the week. Also, shout out to the War Rapport family and community. Guys, help us grow by sharing this video on social media using hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Help people find our content. It helps us as well. So definitely do your part and share this video. Also, if you're trying to figure out how you can get perks, membership perks, get some exclusive content, become an insider, Mike G can tell you exactly how to do that.
Hey, listen, lots of you becoming insiders lately. So join our community, $5.99. You can do this on the front page of our YouTube channel. Just look for that join button. If you're on an iPhone, you may not see the join button. That's because iPhone sucks for this. What we need you to do is go to a computer. The join button will be there. Just make sure you're using the same credentials to log in on your computer that you're logged in with on your iPhone, and become an insider. You don't want to miss these film reviews, man. We broke down the Penn State film, much to our misery. So for those of you who are insiders, you've seen it. A lot of you guys joined Ike and I live. Just over 100 of you joined us live to break down that film. It was a good time, kind of. So looking forward to happier times on Monday, breaking down the Georgia State film. Hey, listen, so we are giving away a mug tonight. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up. You guys know the drill. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. Make sure you check your spelling. It won't count if you don't spell it right. But at the 1 hour mark, we're going to draw for a mug. This is a War Rapport tradition. Every time we go live, we give something away for you guys as a thank you for just supporting our content. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society. This is a great way to support our vision of helping others. And what we want to do is we want to save puppies. So in lieu of super chat sometimes, head on over to that GoFundMe. You can find this link in the about section of our YouTube channel. 50 cents on every dollar goes to helping the Lee County Humane Society save a puppy. Last but not least, great reason to become an insider. We're giving away tickets to the Georgia game. Now, Felix Gonzalez, if you guys seen Felix around the comments, is going to his very, very first Auburn game, which is going to be Georgia State. He won our ticket raffle, and we're so happy to be able to give Felix his first Auburn football experience live in person. So this is an insider exclusive now. We've given away a couple sets of tickets where we made it not insider. We may have some more of those to come, but like for right now, become an insider. Get a chance to win some tickets to an Auburn football game. We're giving away tickets to every single home game this season. It's gonna be wild. We want you to go.
Is Felix on social media? Is he on Twitter?
Yeah, he talks to us on Twitter.
Yeah,
on Twitter.
Yeah. Felix, definitely take some pictures, man, and definitely post that so we can definitely blast that for you, man. That's awesome. Hope you enjoy that game, guys. The word that we got from Watch the Film this week is that even though it was rough to watch, people enjoyed it, and you guys had opportunity to dissect the film from the Penn State game. Just as we get into Georgia State week, I just want to get your feelings on where we are as a program, just kind of how you're feeling this week. I'll start with you, B.
Watching that film was hard, man. It was hard. It was hard. We saw some Skycam shots floating around the web too, and that was even harder because it showed stuff that wasn't visible on the tape that we had to break down at the time. That I was like, oh man, what if we had? Oh man. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna be positive. Be positive. I am positive. I actually am. It really takes me about 3 days to get over a loss. And it's not just any loss. Sometimes we didn't stand a chance. We've lamented that. But a game we could have won hurts me more than a game we had no chance in if it's a loss. And this was a game that was winnable. So I am encouraged because we all picked at the beginning of the season, here's what we think is going to happen. And half of us, Mike went 10-2, God bless him, but we had 3. I had 3. Ike had 3. I think, you had 5 losses. So listen, we knew that Penn State was going to be part of the plan, that there was going to be a learning experience. And even though it was winnable, I'm centered now, remembering that was the learning experience we thought it was going to be. So I'm hopeful and giving coaches the benefit of the doubt because I have no reason to doubt them yet. This was our first real test, and some we passed, some we lost. I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season now.
That was one of your wins, right? That you predicted preseason, B? Was that one of the 9?
I said that we would win and lose the first 2 road games. So if we won Penn State, we would lose LSU. If we lost to Penn State, we would win at LSU. So
okay, so you still in good shape.
Yeah.
Mike G, what are your thoughts after watching the film, taking a closer look? Of course, we give our instant reaction after the game, but after watching the film and dissecting it, how do you feel going into Georgia State week?
I feel like we got some things to clean up. It's clear. I feel like our run defense is for real. We didn't let them do anything on the ground at that game. And, despite how a lot of people feel about how the defense played, we still finished with 11 tackles for loss in that game.
Yeah.
Right? Auburn leads the nation in tackles for loss. No, I lied. There's one team that has more tackles for loss than us. They got one more. Don't ask me who it is, but I looked it up earlier today. They've got some good things going on defense. I still think that this can be a very, very good defense. I still think it could be an all-time great defense. Derek Mason is feeling it out. I think that if he had it all to do all over again, knowing how Clifford would play, he would have played it differently. We still have to kind of figure out some things with the pass rush. So I feel good about it. I'm feeling good about our defense. And I'm feeling good about potential changes coming on offense. I think it's clear Jarquez Hunter is a monster. I just think he is earned that second spot. He went out there, he's performed with the lights on. So, anybody saying it was just Georgia State and it was just Akron, you can't use that line anymore. He got 9 touches and ran for 63 yards. I mean, he's just good. Right. So, and I also feel like we may have a quarterback controversy coming. Definitely after watching the film. So, this is not to say that Bo played terrible, but there were definitely some easier reads out there that he could have made, easier throws where he chose the harder throw. And I'm wondering how much more of that is going to go on before these coaches say enough. Right. Like, so, it was tough for him. I thought he did a good job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And they're going to try to focus on that a little bit during Georgia State. What you're going to see here is we're probably going to see some different wide receiver combinations as well on Saturday as well, too. Cannot look at that tape and be happy with the job that Shed Jackson did. You can't.
Yeah.
Right. So he had a good game against Akron. He graded out as the lowest wide receiver in each of the 2 following games. So, whatever magic they had in week 1 did not transfer to weeks 2 and 3. I feel like we're going to see some changes. I feel like we should see some changes. And, I feel like we, as fans, we need to see some changes because we need to believe that this staff can make the tough decisions. Right. And not always prioritize experience over talent. Get the more talented guys on the field and give them the experience so they can be the more experienced guys.
Well said. Well said. You're the film play breaker downer guy. How are you feeling going into Georgia State?
I mean, I think what we see against Georgia State will be indicative of how the coaches feel about what they saw against Penn State, right? So if we see more of some other quarterback not named Bo Nix, then they feel Bo Nix didn't do an adequate enough job and they need to start working someone else into the rotation. If Bo Nix continues to get all the first team snaps, but we see different wide receivers, then we know they felt wide receivers let us down in certain situations. If we see a heavy dose of run and they're just like, we're just going to run the ball, then they've given up on the prospect of us having an act. Like, you don't go like either they're going to work on the pass this game or they're not. We'll get into the Georgia State team itself. How they play against Georgia State will be indicative of what they went back and said to themselves, what they feel like our identity should be as a team going forward. So I'm looking forward to it. I am not as down on the coaching as I was before watching the film. After watching the film, I do feel like the coaching we still got out coached. Let's be clear.
Facts.
The Penn State offensive game plan was immaculate. The Penn State offensive execution from a passing standpoint was very good. I mean, they really only threw it to one guy, but that one guy ripped us apart. There was one guy and a bunch of tight end busts. And then defensively, we let Penn State off the hook, right? Like, we could have done more in that game and we didn't. And that's a combination of different things. Like, everybody wants to dump the blame on one person. There's so many different holes to plug offensively right now that we've got to figure out what is the stable, and it's got to be the run game is the only thing that hasn't let us down. So it's got to be that. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what they feel like the remedy is for those other things when we get into this Georgia State game.
Indeed. And definitely, guys, hang around as we will talk more in depth as we talk kind of a little bit of matchups. I know many people aren't familiar with Georgia State's roster, but we'll talk about how they match up against Auburn and what we can expect to see on offense and defense. But let's get into the rest of the SEC. There's some interesting games this week in the SEC, so let's talk about it. Let's start with from the snoozers to the more interesting game, starting with Southern Miss goes to Bryant-Denny and play Alabama, and the ESPN Football Power Index gives Alabama a 99.3% chance of winning that game. I think they're right.
I actually disagree on this one. So, like, when you look at the advanced metrics on this game, it's more like a 99.9% chance of winning this game. Yeah, there should be over by 5 minutes left in the first quarter. I guess it'll be that quick.
Okay. Yeah, I got Bama too. Do we have any dissenters here?
Yeah. Bama. Put them down.
Yeah.
Did they cover?
If you thought I was going to pick the upset there.
Yeah, I think they should.
What's the spread? 45 points?
That's
a really big spread. Oh.
Saban usually does this thing where in their cupcake games, they are basically having scrimmages. So you're going to see twos in there. You're going to see some threes. They didn't cover Mercer for that very reason. I mean, they struggled a little bit getting the rhythm, but even once they got it going, they still put their foot on the brake and got people reps. So that's a telltale for me as to whether or not they'll cover.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they'll cover.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't care.
Let's move on.
Let me just jump this in real quick, man. Appreciate that super sticker right there. Thomas, right.
Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate that.
Number 2, Georgia goes to Nash Vegas to face off against Vandy.
Georgia, let's keep moving.
All righty.
Yeah, Georgia. Definitely Georgia.
There's literally no chance Vandy wins this game unless Georgia just doesn't show up because of COVID or something like that.
Has Vandy won a game yet? Have they won? Are they 0-3?
They beat Colorado State.
Yeah, they beat Colorado State. Yeah. But yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. All right. Mizzou on the road at Boston College. And obviously, based on that line, they're expecting this to be pretty close. I think so, too. ESPN gives Boston College a 72.3% chance of winning this game. What y'all think? I'm gonna start with you, B. Will.
I actually like Mizzou in this game, man. They offensively they are balanced. They've got a running back name. I think it's Beatty. I don't want to mispronounce the guy's name. I watched them play Kentucky, and even though they lost that game, Mizzou actually had some fight. They had more fight than I expected them to have. I thought they were just rolling over bad opponents all the first couple games of the season. It was the first game of the season, excuse me. But no, they're decent. Like they're not great. I can't sit here and tell you they're great, but I know Boston College beat Temple last weekend. And for the entire game, for 4 quarters, Boston College threw for 34 yards in the air. 4 yards over 4 quarters.
Yikes.
I'm taking Mizzou.
Yeah, that's convincing. That was a compelling argument. I'm going Mizzou.
Yeah, I just don't think from a physicality standpoint, Boston College is going to be able to pull this off. So I'm going to give Missouri.
Yeah, we'll stick with the SEC on this one.
It's a scary game, man. I'm gonna go Mizzou. I think when they need the offense, they'll find points. So I'm gonna go Mizzou here. All right, so let's get into Kentucky on the road at South Carolina in Columbia. Check out the line. People are expecting it to be a dogfight. Actually, ESPN actually gives South Carolina the best chance of winning this game at 56%. I'm still going Kentucky here. What say you, Ike?
Yeah, I'm going to go Kentucky. I'm a believer in Kentucky being right now probably the 3rd best team in the East. Georgia, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 3rd best team in the East. I just think my point is they're not the South Carolina's further down. And I think that Kentucky can actually be balanced this year offensively. And they're going to be decent defensively. So I'll go Kentucky.
My G.
Yeah, all things even, I gotta go with Kentucky on this one. In total yards allowed on defense, these teams are pretty even, but it's like 120-yard gap in total yards of offense here. So I like what Shane Beamer is doing year 1, but I gotta roll with Kentucky on this one.
B. Will.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Kentucky too. They have, even though their quarterback is not Joe Montana accurate, he has moxie.
Yeah.
If that is a tangible thing, he actually has it. And I think they have enough to get this win. South Carolina, they do look to be playing better. They are a well-organized football team. They just don't have the talent yet. But there are cases where that can actually get you the win if the other team's messing up. So if you're going to tell me Kentucky goes in there and loses 2 fumbles and throws a pick, then yeah, South Carolina can win it. But you can't ever account for that. So I'm just going to go with what I know and pick Kentucky.
And Kentucky has that running back too, who's that he's been performing pretty well. People spoke highly of him in the offseason, and he's been as good as advertised. So combine him with the quarterback that they have that's actually able to throw the ball. I like Kentucky on the road here. Speaking of a team that's going on the road, LSU at Mississippi State. Again, check out that line. And actually, ESPN is kind of liking Mississippi State, giving them a 55.9% chance of pulling out this game here. I'm going to start with you, Mike G.
I knew he was going to start with me.
This is going to be the one right here. I think, well, it's one more good game out here, but I think this is
let's see here.
This is it.
So there's some interesting things happening here. LSU has just dug me a big old hole in this competition for this season. And so I'm on the fence here. Like, is it coming apart at the seams for Coach O? Is what I've been asking myself. Like, is this it? Is this it for them? Right? You've got the number 1 pass offense in the league versus the number 4 pass offense in the league. They're throwing the ball a lot. Mississippi State is completing balls at a 74.8% clip right now, which is nuts. They're the only team in the SEC in the 70s in total overall completion percentage. So their run game is on life support, but that's a Mike Leach coach team. My heart wants to go with LSU, but I've been burned by them so many times that I know Mike Leach is gonna screw me for picking him though. See, that's what. Can we come back to me? Can you guys do that? Can I come back to me? I'm gonna go. You know what? F it. I'm gonna go LSU. I'm gonna go with LSU.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with LSU. I'm just gonna take the whole season ship down with the other Tigers.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Playboy D, like I'm with you, man. Leach is a clown. He's a clown. I this is a pick against Leach and not really for LSU, but like, I don't know, man. It's tough.
He's not a clown. He's a pirate.
I really don't like it.
I'm gonna go with the better defense here. I'm gonna pick Mississippi State.
That's a good pick. I don't know what I'm doing. That's a good pick. That's really sound logic.
B, who you got, man?
You know what? I think I'm going to agree with Lawrence Robinson here. They got embarrassed game one last week, and as much as
last year,
last year. And I know, hey, it's a new season. Teams don't tend to forget that, especially when they're prepping for that week, man. They got on tape. They're looking at themselves miss tackles and get blown off blocks. And I think the emotional factor plays the emotional part plays a big factor. And I think LSU actually goes in there and gets the win because they are weak against the run. However, Mississippi State, either they don't run it or they can't run it. I don't know which one, but since they haven't run it, I'm going to say
Mike Leach never runs the ball. Like, doesn't matter where he's at. He's just not running the football for real.
Let everybody else tell it. LSU's got the best cornerback in the conference on their team. So,
and he didn't play in that game last year.
Did not.
I think he was hurt.
Yeah.
So I think they get Mississippi State gets some comeuppance, and LSU licks his wounds at least for one more week.
Comeuppance. Okay.
Yeah.
LSU. Wait. So you calling LSU? Mm-hmm. You came over to the LSU train with me? Okay, all right.
I didn't come over. I did my reading. You know what I'm saying?
You came over. All right, I appreciate that.
You ain't even over here for real. You 1 foot out.
Yeah, your leg dragging on that bandwagon.
I still called
it. So I'm going LSU as well. I'm going. I'm going now, LSU.
If 8 wins, that means I definitely get one up on y'all. Let's go, Mike Leach.
Don't you feel bad having to cheer for? You count on Mike Leach to get you over the hump? I don't know, man.
Oh my God, he's such a douchebag.
I don't feel bad at all. It's against LSU. I don't feel bad at all.
I don't know.
Yeah,
either LSU wins and they feel better about themselves when we go play them, or LSU loses and I'm happy that LSU lost. So I feel great either way.
Agree.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was pulling for Mississippi State last week against Memphis, so
I was too. Man.
They can lose. They can lose the rest of this year.
Against them.
They got screwed, man.
They can lose the rest of this year.
They got screwed, man.
Really salty about that. All right, Tennessee goes into the swamp to face Florida, and ESPN gives Florida an 88% chance of winning this game. I tend to agree. I'm gonna go Florida here. B, who you got?
As much as I have some crow to eat about how Florida was going to get beat down by Alabama.
Me too. Share me a plate. Say me a plate.
Mike G called it. He said advanced metrics and the eye test said that Bama had some O-line problems. And what do you know? Bama has some O-line problems. Now, the young kid, Bryce Young, he was unflappable. A little too unflappable, which may be a problem they have to fix with him going forward. But it didn't matter that he was under duress the whole game. He still played a reasonably good game, I thought. But I didn't expect Florida to come out with that much, man. They surprised me. However, Tennessee is terrible. Tennessee is terrible. Let me say that again. Tennessee is terrible. Joe Milton is a tight end. He is Joey Gatewood. if you want a good comparison. So
he wasn't even the guy starting last week for them. They had the other cat in there playing.
Also, they came to their senses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they still look bad.
I thought he had gotten injured earlier, but he's just not playing
he got
well.
hurt or something.
He got
like
injured.
That.
That's right. So, man, I feel bad for saying he's a terrible football player. He's an injured football player, with all due respect. So, I don't know if they cover yet. I haven't done all my metrics yet to look at Tennessee's game, but Florida's going to win this game because Tennessee don't have a chance, man. Florida.
Who's next? Right?
Yeah, unless Florida has some sort of hangover from Bama, there's no reason they should lose this game. I don't know whether or not they cover, but I think that they win this game. It's at Florida as well. I just can't see Tennessee and their very anemic pass game going into Florida and getting a win. So Florida.
Yeah, it looks like they're starting this kid, Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker. That's a hell of a name. So, like,
he's better than Milton, but not much.
Yeah, and they're not really throwing the ball down the field. As a matter of fact, he threw 21 passes, and 5 went 20 yards or more down the field.
He only competed like one of them, right?
Yeah, and there was nothing from 10 to 15 yards, and the rest was 5 yards or shorter. I'm definitely going with Florida on this one. I was impressed with Emory Jones against Alabama. I thought that he did a serviceable job in running the ball.
That's a good word.
Running the ball, right? Like, and making enough throws to kind of keep them in it until the end. I don't think he's not a world beater, but for somebody who's not a world beater, I think he did everything that I felt like he was capable of. And
his coach schemed it up good for him.
Yeah,
Dan Mullen.
And what a good play caller will do for a quarterback. I mean, was an example of it. They didn't have enough horses to get by Bama in that game, but I expected it to be a little closer than most expected based on offensive line issues. Alabama's was just letting through a ton of pressure, but I like Florida in this one. They made some plays against Bama. I don't know what to make of Tennessee. I mean, they've had a very cream puffy start to the season as well too. So who knows what they are? Florida for sure.
Before we move on, Lawrence wants to know what's in the cup, B. Will.
Good old H2O. That's the only thing I drink on these shows because I need to be clear of mind when Mike starts saying something stupid.
Whoa, unmitigated attack.
What a stray.
Uncalled for.
That stray bullet had your name
to call him out. That's what I have to be.
Uncalled for.
That stray bullet all had your name on it, Mike. That's never seen that before.
I'm just saying.
He was right last week, though. He was right last week.
Let's get to it. Let's get to the most interesting non-Auburn game.
The other one.
Number 7 A&M versus number 16 Arkansas in old Jared's house. Now, ESPN is leaning towards Texas A&M, giving them a 57.4% chance of winning this game. Let's see what the guys at the War Rapport have to say about this. Ike over here
Arkansas.
doing okay. All right.
He likes Arkansas.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry. So Texas A&M's offense has been very uneven this year. They have issues at quarterback. Their run game has not been stellar, and Arkansas's defense has me believing. I think Arkansas is going to win this football game. Forget points, all that. They're just going to win outright. I got Arkansas with the upset. Boom.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like an upset though for some reason, right?
Because we know better. You want to go, Mike?
No,
you still getting you still over there Googling. All right,
Yeah,
B. Will.
He over there getting them advanced stats. I don't have advanced stats.
That's why it sounds so
cheating.
good. Is he
know.
getting his notes together? What you got, B. Will?
Y'all know I am not a fan.
Jimothy. Yeah.
Scored 10 points at Colorado, albeit with a backup quarterback. But don't you feel like if our backup quarterback were to come in, we would score more than 10 points against a team who has no offense? Jimbo Fisher talked all that big noise about beating Nick Saban in the offseason. Since his first string quarterback got hurt, who, by the way, threw 3 picks in his first game, so it's not like he came out here lighting it all the way up. Their offense has been completely forgettable, uninspiring. Their defense is legit. Let me not dismiss this. Their defense is legit. Jimbo does not coach defense. Let's remember that as well. So let's not give him too many brownie points for that. But their defense is legit. Now, it comes down to, do I believe that Arkansas's offense can do something against Texas A&M's defense? Because I know Arkansas's defense can hold down A&M's offense in its current state. KJ Jefferson is not a prolific passer. And if you're going to be playing a defense that can actually has talent at all 3 levels, you've got to be able to throw the ball. You're not going to be able to run 100 different ways against a very, very good defense. So this is dicey. But I like Sam Pittman. I like what Barry Odom has done over there. They believe in a way that makes them better, slightly better than the talent that they have. They are clicking right now. The big win over Texas has been a springboard. I think they get this win, and they put A&M on the track to at least 4 losses this season. For a coach who was supposed to be he should be in the playoffs. No, he shouldn't. You had one good year. Your old lineman left. They in the league. What they doing? They playing in the league. Now your old line looks suspect. Now your run game looks suspect. What you been doing the last 3 years? Thought you was recruiting old linemen. Thought that's what you did, Jimbo? Huh? Looking like Florida State them last few years he was there, huh? Uh-huh. Arkansas.
B. Will basically just compared Texas A&M to a broken down Chevy. He said you had one good year and a bunch of flats.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, those are facts.
What say you, Mike G?
This is an intriguing quarterback battle, right? Like both these guys,
mediocre versus mediocre.
Yeah, they're extra regular.
Yeah,
right. Super regular. So KJ Jefferson is the epitome of regular. When you're looking at
he's just a better runner.
He's a better athlete.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would agree with that. I'm just looking at this. I mean, he's 61.5% on the season. He interestingly though is averaging over 10 yards per attempt.
Oh yeah, he's got a decent deep ball. Like
right.
he can sling it out there.
Yeah. Conversely, Zach Calzada is nothing special. So I'm going to have to go with Arkansas on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M finds a way to make it interesting, but there is no metric that suggests that they should win this game based on QB play, rush offense, and then overall defense. The numbers lean Arkansas here, so I'm going Arkansas.
Okay.
I mean, unless Texas A&M gets several defensive scores in this game.
Yeah, I mean that.
I don't know where the points are going to come from.
Yes,
I really don't.
Play. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they've got a legit run game. You know, I'm not going to discount Texas A&M's ability to run. I'm just saying Arkansas's defense has been stellar against the run. So, if you're going to be one-dimensional against them and you can only run, it's going to be a rough game. You might hear me repeat those same sentiments when we play them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to feel better about them too after watching them play. So yeah, I for all the reasons y'all mentioned, I've been very impressed with Arkansas defensively.
I was hoping one day I would go Texas A&M so I could make up some more points on this.
I don't
see it.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas A&M pull something out of their hat.
It wouldn't be a shock.
But
I'm just saying I'm not picking them.
But there's no statistic that suggests that Texas A&M should win this game.
Right with that quarterback.
No,
Right.
I mean, he's like 51% on the season so far. I don't know, man. Unless he has some kind of coming out party that on Saturday, I can't see it.
And to think they fell off hard from Kellen Mond. I mean, he's in NFL, but
they did not, and that's what I disagree with.
You disagree?
I think the run game was so good because the offensive line was so good that they never had to count on Mond, but maybe 3 or 4 plays a game, and he could hit them. The difference now is that run game isn't working like it did last year. Isaiah Spiller, he's averaging just under over 3 yards a carry. He's not running the same. I don't know if he's hurt.
6.3 yards per carry.
Isaiah or what's his other name?
Isaiah
Texas A&M overall.
Isaiah Spiller is averaging 6.3 yards per carry.
I'm gonna look back at that because that was as of the Colorado game, so he might have got some big runs in last week.
Yeah, he probably lit them up last week.
Yeah, 40 attempts, 250 yards.
Okay, so he boosted it last week, but he hasn't looked the same this entire year. The first 2 games, I didn't watch the third game. Something's up, and now the moment that Jimbo has a quarterback, and you can't do everything for him, now you look suspect. I thought you was the QB whisperer, Jimbo. What happened, baby? What happened, man? I'm taking notes.
Well, listen. So those are our thoughts. We all got Arkansas. We got a few super chats. Austin says A&M. No doubt in my mind, it's a rival, and in my opinion, Texas A&M is just better. We will see. Yeah. Also, shout out to you, Walt. Appreciate you, buddy. Arky, because Jimbo is Jim Bust. Okay, I see what you did there. I am Hop. If we find our pass rush, what do you guys think of our schedule for the next 5 games?
We will talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Wait for it. So, guys, we just want to definitely, hear from you. Well, before we even do that, we're supposed to do it at the beginning, but let's talk about the scorecard.
Yeah, let's talk about the scorecard.
Let me get this down here. All right, what we looking like?
It got tight.
Yeah, your boy had a good week last week, huh? Wait, who let me down though?
Auburn.
My own team let me down. I would have had a perfect prediction week last week if we had won that game.
Oh man. I need LSU to do something.
Screw me.
I do too.
I hate them.
I need LSU to do something.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how we're looking after 3 weeks. It'll be interesting to see how we look after week 4. But those of you who we've seen you guys watching live with us, leaving your comments below or in the comment section, guys, please be sure if you're watching this on replay, let us know your thoughts. What games are you looking forward to seeing this weekend? Are there any upsets? Do you predict an upset? Or is it pretty much nothing to see here? Whoever's favorite are going to cover and win. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We'll greatly appreciate it. And this is also a reminder that you are watching the Wednesday Night War Room. We'll take time to acknowledge our sponsors of the War Rapport.
The War Rapport's Wednesday Night War Room is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Our betting partner, BUSR. Bet with confidence at BUSR.com/report. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
What announcements we got, Mike G?
Hey, listen, become an insider. Just do it, okay? Because I said so. And be a part of this community. It's a great community that we have here. You want to be a part of it for some of the stuff that we've got going. I've talked about that stuff ad nauseum, so you guys know what the drill is. $5.99 will get you there. Visit our merch store. Our merch store is live. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel, because if you don't win the mug tonight, you can maybe just cop one and support us anyway. We are giving away a mug. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. If you missed it at the top of the show, hashtag get your weight ups to enter the drawing at the 1 hour mark. We're going to pull for that. Last but certainly not least, we are on podcast, working hard to bring you guys War Rapport wherever you're at. So during your day, if you're driving in the car, mowing the lawn, and you want to listen to the Wednesday War Room or the weekend tailgates, we only got the Wednesday War Room right now, but we will be bringing you the weekend tailgate eventually. B is working hard on this stuff for you guys. So even if you're on podcast, even if you like listening to us on YouTube, go over to the podcast and do us a favor and drop us a rating, a comment, a review, anything that you guys want. That'll help boost us in that form so that we can rise to the top of the podcast ranks as well.
Yeah.
Own it all.
Thank you for that, sir. Let's get into it, man. Let's go ahead and just talk about it. The game we care about is here. Georgia State and number 23 Auburn. Of course, we know that game is at 2:30 this upcoming Saturday, 2:30 Central Time, SEC Network. Of course, Auburn is favored. The line there is Auburn minus 27. Over and under is 57. And the Football Power Index by ESPN gives Auburn a 97% chance of winning this game. This will actually be the first meeting between the two schools. So what I want to do is just kind of talk a little bit, and then we'll deal with Auburn's defense as I talk about Georgia State's offense. Georgia State recently benched their starting QB in favor of another guy who started last week against Charlotte 49ers, Darren Granger. He went 6 for 13 for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also was a part of the rushing attack in which he rushed 11 times for 73 yards. Of course, if you factor in sacks and whatnot, he actually had less yards. But according to Pro Football Focus, he actually rushed for 73 yards. So that's that. So we see that we have a dual threat QB that we're dealing with this upcoming week. So we also, another thing to mention about them is he connected with his 2 receivers. These 2 guys, Jamari Thrash, who's kind of a smaller, kind of quick receiver, and Jakias Creedle, who's like 6'4", a big time, big physical receiver. He connected with them 4 times for passes of 20 plus yards. Both of them had a touchdown each in that game. So these were big plays that he made. We know what Derek Mason likes to do in his defense, right? Kind of bend, but not break. Don't want to give up the big play. We'll play zones. We'll allow you to kind of dink and dunk here and there. So I don't foresee Auburn unless there's some massive coverage bust in the game this upcoming Saturday. How do we feel about our defense, particularly playing zone against this quarterback? We saw what happened against Akron later in the game when they brought in the second string QB and he was able to find some open guys in the zone. How we expect Auburn to play in terms of cleaning up how we play zone? I'll start with you, Ike.
So let me say this about Georgia State. They are going to play a lot of the typical RPO stuff, but they're going to do a lot of like the triple option stuff out of that RPO spread. So assignment football is going to be super critical. And that has not, of course, boded well so far for Auburn, just in the back end of playing assignment football, but their quarterback is not super accurate. So what I think is that we probably won't switch our strategy too much. They'll try to keep everything in front of them and just keep them from having big plays, and just be aggressive downhill against the run and just kind of dare him to throw the ball, and make the right decisions and be accurate with that. But yeah, well, let me just say this. I only watched him play a little bit against North Carolina because I try to watch a little bit of every team that we're going to play. I only watched him play against North Carolina. And really how they were beating North Carolina, not beating them because they lost that game handily, but how they were able to move the ball was mostly on the ground with the run. So again, it was a lot of option stuff. It was a lot of RPO stuff, quarterback runs and keeps and stuff like that. So assignment football is going to be crucial. We've done that well this year, though, against the run. It's when they get into the pass options that we start to falter. I just don't know that Georgia State can threaten in that way. So I don't see it as being a super huge challenge for this defense. And I do think that if Derek Mason is committed to us being able to play zone against some more spread teams later, they're going to have to continue to practice it against people. So they're probably not going to abandon it in this game.
Agreed. Another stat. I'll let you talk about this, Mike, since this gets you going. They feature a running back by committee, of course. One of the things that I saw, and in the last game against Charlotte, they racked up 284 total yards of rushing versus Charlotte. They're averaging 175 yards per game on the ground. Something of note is that AU currently ranks number 3 in rush defense, only allowing an average of 45 yards a game. Mike G, do you expect Auburn to continue to dominate up front as it pertains to the rush defense?
Yeah. I mean, listen, this has been a strength of our defense. Now, like we're averaging, you said we ranked 3rd. I had us ranking 2nd in rush defense. So 1.3 yards per carry average.
Southern Miss and Wisconsin, but I know Wisconsin has only played 2 games, so
right.
That's kind of an asterisk by Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, we've allowed 127 yards on the ground. Southern Miss is 142. Wisconsin is 66, but they got a game. This rush defense is clearly the strength of our team, and they proved it against Penn State. They went out and they shut Penn State down. We have not allowed 100 yards rushing in a game yet through 3 games. I don't think it's going to happen in this one either. Now, you guys know how I feel about one-dimensional teams. They're going to have to throw the ball. And I saw a curious stat, and I had to double check it to make sure that I was actually looking at it correctly. But they have not attempted a whole lot of passes. I mean, this offense looks like it's primarily just running. They can't pass the ball. They can barely pass the ball. I don't know if they have a guy that knows how to throw a spiral. It should be ugly. This should be one of those games where I come in and I say, shut out. Easy, right? This should just be clear. We should not allow them to score a single point in this game. You should be able to man up, no gimmicks, no tricks, just line up and beat them. Beat little brother and move on. So defensively, we should do fairly well in this game. I look for them to clean up the assignments, right? Any scheme thing that you're trying to prepare, anything that kinks you're trying to work out of the system without giving away anything before LSU, do it this week. I'm not sure we're going to learn a whole lot about our defense this week that we don't already know, because from a secondary standpoint, they can't pass the ball anyway.
Right.
So what are we going to learn this week? Probably not a lot. So I expect domination and run defense. Like I said, I mean, again, guys, 11 tackles for loss on Saturday, which is impressive, right? They turned in the same amount of tackles for loss, if not more, than we did against Akron and Alabama State. So the rush defense is for real. That's something special. They're just not going to let guys run the ball on them. But this is all this team does. So it'll be interesting to see if they stick to that, right? Or do we allow this team that cannot pass to pass on us?
Right.
Right. And we'll be watching that as well, too. So it'll be
that actually hurt my feelings a little bit.
Do we allow this team that cannot pass at all to get any significant yards through the air? It'll be telling. They should dominate this game. That's what it should be. So I'm looking forward to watching it. It should be over by mid-second quarter.
Before I get to UB, Walt Taylor says, do they have a couple of tight ends? If so, I don't know. I don't know. I know that in terms of some of the guys that's featuring the passing game, They're not really targeting their tight ends much. I don't see them being a big part of the game plan. They haven't been up to this point.
No.
So it's basically been the two wide receivers that I previously mentioned who have been getting the ball. And in fact, you guys are absolutely on it. I think the two guys that I mentioned, Jamari Thrash and Jakias Creedle, I think he targeted one receiver 5 times and completed 2 passes. Those are the 2 big passes that he was able to get a completion on. The other guy was 2 for 4. So he's missing more than he's actually completing. So it'll just be interesting to see just how accurate he is. Also, shout out to Ambitious Engineer. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, welcome. Listen, me and Ambitious Engineer were chopping it up over on the E2C network about we share some similar ideas about the game. This is a smart guy.
Because he agrees with you.
No, I'm sure he's ambitious at a lot of things other than engineering, right? But he seems to understand the game. I enjoyed the back and forth we had about how we did on Saturday. So welcome on over.
B. Will, what does Auburn do? Does Auburn get back on track in terms of generating a pass rush? And how do you expect they defend a guy whose probably first instinct is to run when things get tight?
Well, I mean, they're not going to change who they are. I don't think you can be a terrible passing team and come in here and cook something up in a week that makes you a decent enough one to attack our weakness, because that's not how things work. I mean, if that's how things work, then, a lot of teams would just be new teams when they showed up somewhere, but it don't work like that. So no, I don't think we have to worry about that threat. I think they're going to, again, we got hit in the mouth. We got beaten in a way that showed our weaknesses decisively. Like, there's not a question of maybe we can't cover. That's an issue. We cannot cover. The blessing of that is that you now have a very narrow focus on what to fix, and we think we have the coaches that know how to fix it. So I expect our guys to really kind of be, I don't want to be disrespectful and call it a scrimmage, but it kind of will be a scrimmage. Up front, we should be able to whoop them. And they weren't bad anyway. They didn't pressure the quarterback, but that's not just because that's not because they played poorly. The game plan was not to blitz. We blitzed very little in the Penn State game. So I expect even the guys who played well to have a renewed focus, and a fire will be lit. I think they hear it all, man. The players are on social media. They see it. They hear it, man. They don't want that taste in their mouth still. So they're going to play a great game. They're going to take coaching. They are learning from their mistakes, both coaches and players, and they're going to play a great game. And I wouldn't be surprised to get one of the shutouts that Mike G talked about.
No, this should definitely be a shutout.
Let me ask y'all a question, though. Do we see Zacoby McClain at all in this game?
He's got to sit out the first half, doesn't he?
That's why I ask. Do we see him at all?
He's going to come back, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I'm saying, if we're into the second half of the game and we're blowing them out, will he play at all? Is my question. Like, will we need him to play the second half of this game?
You don't need to play him, but you probably want to give him a little bit of reps, maybe.
I think he wants his tackling numbers. I think he prides himself on getting those tackles, and I think he'll want to get as many tackles as he can, at least for a quarter or so.
Question number 2. I don't know what the status on Owen Papo is. Is us having 2 of our linebacker core down going to be a problem against a team that runs this much?
I don't think so.
I actually don't think so. I think Wooten is a great.
He is.
Wooten steps right in, does his thing.
Wesley Snyder has had some issues. I think Wesley Snyder has had some issues when he's been in there, recognizing where he's supposed to be and what gap he's supposed to cover. I don't think that means we lose or don't cover. I'm just wondering if early in the game we see issues with assignment football happening up front, because again, when you're playing a team that plays the way that Georgia State does, it's important that your linebackers understand where they need to be and how they need to be, and which gaps they're supposed to cover, who's their assignment on, if they're doing the dive or if they're taking the QB or if they're taking the pitch man. You've got to understand who those people are, where they need to be, and everybody's got to be kind of playing on a string to string that out to the outside, and then make sure that you're covering up before the pitch happens or once the pitch happens. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out early in the game with those 2 possibly not playing.
Yeah, get the other guys some experience. right?
They're gonna need it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna need to be next man up. The CM Pat, yes, you guys already know the drill. Giving away 3 free T-shirts for a shutout. I love giving this. Listen, it's a great reason to give some away. We get 2 shutouts in the season. Would be amazing. But yes, the answer to that is yes. I'm feeling like there was another question in here. We had a super chat that I wanted to get to. Any thoughts on our wide receiver core and who needs to play?
That's where we're going next is offense.
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
we're heading that direction.
We're gonna get on that. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, I actually agree that I believe that this may be the case that we switch to a 4-man front for this game.
Yeah.
To be more dominant against the run, just to allow for us to not need as many LBs in the game. So I agree with that, Phil, because I've talked about this before. I think that we have that flexibility with our play. This may be the first game we get to see Lee Hunter actually get in and get some reps. I think that I expect for TD Moultrie to continue to play. TD Moultrie, man, TD Moultrie has played well this season, man. He has had a resurgence this season.
Hey,
listen,
how about that?
Hey,
look at God.
If you play better, then you get me to talk about you playing better. Listen, I gave Shedrick props for his half a game. He played well.
Yeah, all right.
So let's talk about real quick. We can start and then we'll pick up after the hour mark. Their defense is not that great. It's not really good at all. They rank near the bottom in FBS in scoring defense, allowing 37 points a game. Very vulnerable against the run. They allow an average of 196 yards per game on the ground. And Auburn currently ranks in the top 10 in rush offense, averaging 287 yards per game. And their pass defense is allowing 220 yards per game. So there's a lot of opportunity for Auburn to clean things up offensively, as you alluded to, Ike. So what are some things that you expect to see? You mentioned that what we're going to see is pretty much an indication of what the coaches thought went wrong at Penn State, right? Mm-hmm. Or that it's going to be a response to what happened at Penn State. Yeah. What do you think we actually see?
So again, this is from watching. I try to only watch games where they're playing teams like that are a caliber up if possible. Them playing North Carolina actually survived most of that game on deep shots. Like Sam Howell was throwing a lot of deep, like
he was running on them too.
Yeah, and he had like a 64-yard touchdown run. But like the big play is what killed them. They actually, from play to play, are decent, but they get out of alignment, they give a big play, and then it's going all to hell, right? They've turned over the ball in all 3 games that they've played so far this year. They've had a turnover, right? So they're susceptible to giving the ball up. They're just kind of sloppy with the football. But I think offensively, we're going to attempt to take some shots against them just to prove that we can do it. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. I think we're going to see a different wide receiver rotation in this game. I think they're going to try some new guys out and try to see if we have some guys that can go out there and make plays. This is the game to do it because you're going to LSU next week. And you need to figure out who your playmakers are. And we need to figure out how the downfield passing game is going to work. I think we can run the ball at will against just about any team not named Georgia, maybe Texas A&M, right? Even Arkansas is good against the run. But I think that we can run the ball at will basically against any other team that we're going to face on our schedule this season. So similarly to how Mike was talking about in our first game, where I don't want to see a run hit. I actually don't want to see that this game. I actually want to see them go out here and figure out who their playmakers are on the outside and figure this pass offense out. Because if it doesn't work, you can just go fall back to the run the second half and just go blow them off the field.
Right.
But early in this game, I need to see the pass offense make sense. And I need to see somebody else out there as a pass catcher. I don't care if they go out there and go 2 tight ends and throw the ball to tight ends a whole game. But I need to see someone effectively catching a forward pass that goes more than 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage this game.
We got a question here from CM Pat. How much of TJ Finley do we see? I will toss that question to Mike G. After we do this giveaway, for those who have entered to win. So
get your weight up.
So y'all know what to do. If you haven't done it already, put it in the comments.
Hashtag get your weight
How many we
up.
got, Ike?
109. 109. We can do a little better than that.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible.
It's not bad. It's not bad,
over
but
300 in here tonight, so 109 is not awful.
We can do better though.
Got to get Lloyd some more snaps. Derek Gunter, if you don't see.
Is this the game where we see Demetrius Davis make his appearance?
Man, don't start.
Man, don't tell. No, I mean, don't.
What was that, Mike?
If you just gave him a chance, just one.
Jeremy said, "Can Grant Lloyd play wide receiver?"
We are at 122. I will pull this jaunt off in here in 15 seconds. I'm gonna push the button. Can we get to 130 before that?
Can't wait.
Yeah, while y'all waiting, man. If you waiting on this drawing, go tap that like button real quick. If you're on your phone, minimize the chat and then go tap the like button and come right back to it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's get this thing going. 126. Y'all got close. All right. Who shall it be?
Corey Weber. Corey. William.
Congratulations, man.
Listen,
right,
I know William. Listen, William, business at the War Rapport.
Well, you got to say you're here first.
You got to say he's here.
Oh yeah, he's got to the end of the show.
Yeah.
William, I know he's watching. He's always watching. William, holla at us. He sleep. Business at the War Rapport. Email us that address so that we can get that out to you. If you don't answer before the end of this, then we got to pull again.
He's here. He's here.
There he is.
He's here. You know what to do, sir. Email business at the War Rapport.
Send us that address so we can get you that mug ASAP.
Thanks for playing, sir. All right, let's get back to it. So we were asked
here too, just in case anybody was wondering.
We were asked about the QB rotation, and we were asked how much of TJ Finley do we think we see? What say you, Mike G? How much of Finley do you expect to see on Saturday?
You know what? So I asked Coach Hartson about wide receiver rotations, and he said we're always reassessing. He gave me a coach speaking answer. He said we're always reassessing things after every game, whether you win or whether you lose. I expect quarterback to be one of those things that they're starting to reassess after Saturday. Now, he still clearly leans Bo. He thinks that, and by his own words, and I quote, the guys around Bo need to play better as well, which I do not disagree with. But this is your last chance to get Finley any meaningful reps before SEC play. He's got to throw some passes. And I would like to see Finley throw at least 10 passes in this game. Right? He's thrown 7 passes on the season. Right? He's 4 for 7 on the season. We got to see some TJ Finley here, because if anything carries over from what Bo did during the Penn State game, while I don't think he had the worst game, I think we can all acknowledge that that's not good enough. That's not going to be good enough. Not with the emergence of Ole Miss and Arkansas. And look at our remaining schedule, man. We have to score points, or we have to play keep away with our run game. So, before we get into wide receivers, we got to have somebody who can get them the ball. And they're going to have to take a look. So I expect to see if Finley gets in this game, it can't be one of those things where he goes in and throws 2 passes and then we run the rest of the whole rest of the second half. This game should be over by halftime. And I would like to see Finley as early as possible, maybe even first half. Score 21 points in the first quarter, put Bo on the bench, put Finley in the game, and let him play the rest of the game. In line with that, it's time to see something different at receiver. Thank you, Shed Jackson. You're an awesome Auburn man. but for the good of the team, it's time for somebody else to get a shot. Now, I've been screaming Malcolm Johnson Jr. They've been playing him, teetering him on the edge of first team. He played like 12 snaps against Penn State, 11 or 12 snaps. He caught the only target that was thrown at him. He caught both of the targets that were thrown at him. He's 2 for 2 with a touchdown this season. So it's time for us to see something else here. And it needs to be a signal to your team that you will play the best players. Because if I'm JJ or I'm Capers or I'm Canyon, I'm sitting on the bench like, what the hell? And I'm not in practice, so I can only assume that the coaches have their reasons. But all I can tell you is that he graded out low. The lowest wide receiver we put on the field 2 games straight. One against a cream puff and the other against real competition. I don't know how much more data you need to know that you need to know that at the very least, if you're going to put him in the game, you don't throw the ball at him 10 times or 8 times or 9 times. However, it was too many targets. He was the second most targeted wide receiver in that game.
Let's talk about this while we're talking about wide receivers, because this is a good point. Mike and I actually talked about this off cam a little bit. This is a fact. Malcolm Johnson is out there doing work. Get him the ball, man.
He's earned it, man. He's earned the shot, right? They threw a deep bomb to him. Finley did. He caught it. Touchdown. On that final drive over the middle, which could have been a crucial catch if we had come back, he caught his target.
Yep, for a first down. Yeah.
Right? And took contact after the hit.
Almost instantly, like he got hit like right when the ball got there and held on.
Held on to the ball, man. Right? For a guy who really is in kind of his first year, I think he's got the speed. I think he's got the ball skills. Let's get him in the game. And then for the guys behind him as well, too. Capers, Canyon, it's time to see him. I mean, it makes me wonder, what are we seeing? What are they not seeing in practice that these guys are not getting in the game? But then you put Shed in, and then he does what he did. Tripping over his own feet. He
missed time in his jump.
Yeah.
Can't high point the ball.
Right. The little loft. I wasn't in love with the pass, but the little loft thing that Bo did to Shed on the sideline. Do you guys remember the play? I forgot which quarter it was. Mm-hmm. And the DB adjusted and kind of reached back to contest it. Mm-hmm. All I could think in my head was, you're not that guy.
Yeah.
But we got guys on the bench who could adjust and make that play. We have better athletes on the bench. This is why, so a lot of people ask me about, the argument about Shivers, right? About whether he's, should lose his job to Jarquez in these first 3 weeks. And, a lot of people felt like I've kind of overlooked him. I said, listen, what we're talking about is this is a really good problem to have. You have 3 good running backs and you don't know and you have a tough time figuring out who to play. They can't all get carries. I'm sorry. I haven't seen that successfully. I can't remember last time I saw a 3-headed monster. You got 2 guys and you go to those 2 guys. At receiver, I think we have that. I'm not sure. Can you imagine? What did we said during the Gus era? If this were Gus, we wouldn't have seen Jarquez. He would have been buried on the depth chart for half the season until somebody got hurt.
Right.
In the Harsin era, we get to see him early. Right? I mean, and significantly. And at wide receiver, I just don't understand why we're not seeing the same thing. So if I believe that the coaching staff is evaluating properly, that worries me. So this is the best we got? Yikes. Now, Kobe showed that he's a pure wide receiver. He showed it.
Yeah.
He is a pure wide receiver. And he wasn't on my list, but I am impressed with that kid, man. He did. After the fumble, he came back and he played a great game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And just like we want the quarterback to forget interceptions and come back and make throws, your receivers, again, forget that drop. forget that fumble, and come back and make a play. He did that. And then he owned it. He manned up after the game and he owned it. He said, that's on me, fellas. I didn't make that play. But watch me while I work when I come back from this. That's all we can ask for. But this thing where we put players on the field, again, it feels like we're prioritizing experience over talent. And at some point, the more talented guy that doesn't have the experience needs to become the more experienced guy as well, too. So I'm looking forward in this last game to seeing when it's fair, man. Let these guys get some garbage time reps under the lights at home before you go on the road and you toss them to the wolves. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that with Finley. I don't want to see it at wide receiver. Johnson, Capers, Canyon. Get them in. Why not? I can't. It can't be worse than what we saw versus Penn State, because I'll end by saying every deep ball, which was like 3 of them that we threw to Shedrick Jackson, not one of those balls was in danger of being caught. Not one. There was no hope in my heart for anything when those balls went in the air to him. He has 0 ball skills with the ball in the air.
None.
He didn't stack the defender. He can't high point the football. What were we doing? Why is he our deep ball guy when we got burners?
Yeah.
He's not the fastest guy. We got it wide receiver either. So, but I've seen at the very least Malcolm Johnson, the guy who went out and caught the 50-yard bomb when called on.
Yeah.
And you've got him teetering on the edge of first team anyway, man. Let's see him in this game. So I don't want to get down on Shedrick. Like, again, this is, somebody's going to come in and say, you player bashing and all this. I'm like, listen, man, and sometimes play is just play. And you can't handle these guys with the kid gloves. And the team has to come before your seniority. Team first, man. Like, it's time to see somebody else. Right? And same for Bo. Bo's not going to get it done. We got to start figuring that out before the season falls apart. How many games do we have to lose? I'm ready to see an era at Auburn where we can make changes before the wheels fall off the bus. That's the Auburn I'm tired of seeing. Everything's got to fall all to hell before we'll change the quarterback. Why? Just figure it out if he's not going to get it done. Sometimes average is not okay. When you could do better. Let's see it. Come on, man. Let's see it. This is what Harsin owes these fans, man, after what we went through with Gus. $5 million a year. He could feed 100 families on what he's getting paid. Put the right guy in the game. So.
All right. Okay. All right. I am Hop. Appreciate you. B. Will, this is for you, man. Any thoughts on, before you answer, I'm going to read the other super chat that we got as well. Any thoughts on sitting Tank this game and playing Hunter and Shivers? I'm a supplement that question as well, because I'm going to ask you a question focusing on Shivers for this game.
Interesting.
But we also had a few super chats. Stephen Ash says, I'm crazy to expect them to win with the run and drop the vanity of making Bo into Graham Harrell. Learn from the tape. Split back. Oh, triple option.
No, you're not crazy.
You're not crazy.
Yeah, but the problem is that I don't think our schedule will survive a only run offense, no matter how good our running backs are. You get too one-dimensional. Yeah, and you get down, you can't come back.
Yeah. You don't want to see a one-dimensional offense against Georgia. That's going to be an ugly game.
Ugly game.
I am Hot. Appreciate you again. Again, I say free 17 and 80, referring to Capers and Canyon.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to see them, man. A lot of people want to see them. B. Will, what are your thoughts about? I mean, you got to play Tank, right? Or do you? What are your thoughts? And how much do we see Shivers?
You got to play Tank because Tank needs his numbers. As much as every bit of playing time is also recruiting, And by recruiting, I mean, look how many yards our back got. We need that 1,000-yard back. Yeah, we might be going for 2. So you don't rest Tank and cost him what should be easier numbers, more yards with less carries against a subpar defense. So you got to play Tank. You got to play Shivers because he's a firecracker. If you listen to what Harsin said in the press conference, he's an energy guy. Jarquez Hunter is a stud running back, and we might be 1A, 1B with Tank and Jarquez, but Shivers still has a different skill set that I think is needed, that I think adds some versatility, and they want to get him back in the swing, man. You want all the weapons. I want all those guys to get snaps because you don't have to have Shivers lined up as just the main back. They had Jarquez and Tank and both in the backfield at the same time. You can make one of those Shivers. Now you got to account for even maybe a little more speed going one direction. So it gives our coaching staff better options so that they're going to play. But to what Mike said and we've already talked about here, we know Penn State was a letdown for several reasons. I was most impressed with Kobe Hudson as well because that Skycam footage, it does not tell lies. There are things you cannot see on the regular play footage that you can see on the Skycam footage. And while we are lamenting how many times Shedrick got targeted, the real crime is that on 2 or 3 of those plays, somebody else was wide open. And the person pulling the trigger did not throw it to them.
Took the hardest throw.
Right. And so for all of us saying, oh, well, Bo didn't play, Bo wasn't the problem. Bo was part of the problem. He was not the entire problem, but Bo was part of the problem. You cannot see. The cameraman pans to where the ball goes. He doesn't go to where the corner is beat. So you didn't see that unless you watched the Skycam footage. But if you saw it, you'd go, well, why would you throw to a guy who had dropped 2 passes already when this other guy was streaking upfield wide open? I don't know. But when we talk about the offensive game plan, and I didn't see this footage before we had our show on Sunday. I don't know how much I can put on coaches. If you can scheme a guy wide open, coach, you won. That play, you did your job. Quarterback is now on you. Hit the guy that's open. You got 1 option, 2 options, 3 options. If you make a decision and you throw it to the guy that is covered and not good, that's a bad decision. And points were left on the board.
Covered in.
With that, we need to stop trying to dress that up. Oh, he wasn't bad. Bo played better than I've ever seen him play on the road.
On the road,
ever,
yes.
By a mile.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge that, and we can give him his props for that, while also acknowledging the objective truth that he throws to people predetermined without letting the play develop as it should, and it is frequently enough the wrong throw. It cost us possessions. It cost us points. Speaking as to what we expect to see on the field going forward, if I am assuming that Brian Harsin is different from Gus Malzahn in this way, and we all have hope that he is, that I see there is a problem here, so instead of throwing the guy back out there and hoping the light turns on, I am going to take him, coach him, instruct him on what to do differently, and if I don't see enough change, this guy's sitting down.
Yeah.
I have to have faith that that is possible here, or else I'm going to lose my mind and be completely despondent, and I'll be on here looking like this every show for the rest of the season. Because we just went through that, where I know this can't be the best we have. Now, you know what? In Gus's defense, Bo probably was the best quarterback we had last year. This year, I do not think that's.
Listen, I get it. Everybody thinks TJ Finley has a better arm, more accurate. I just don't know that TJ's a better decision maker, though. Like I haven't seen it. So yeah, to everybody's point, I'd like to see what we have, and this would be the game to see it. I just haven't seen a bunch of great decision making ability from TJ Finley to know that he can do that. So like my assumption here, just like with the wide receiver position, is TJ hasn't shown it in practice yet to have enough confidence. What I will say is that it was clear from fall camp they were trying to get him to that place because they were trying to get him the reps in. I just don't know that he did enough. So I'm not as down on Bo yet, because I do think the mistakes were correctable, right? Like I don't have a defense for the moon balls that Bo was. I have no clue why he felt like it was necessary to throw the ball that high to get it over the top of a defender. It was just silly. But the decision-making stuff is something you can go back and be like, oh, listen, look, man, when we're in this look, middle of the field is open. So your first read needs to be here. Your second read needs to be here. Like, I get it. You got the solo here, but your first read needs to be the guy that's going to be breaking over the middle. That's your in-breaking route, right? Like, that's correctable things. The question is, because if it's about decision-making, he can make better decisions if coached to do that. The question is, will he go out there and execute it? And if he does do that, can he do it at a high enough proficiency for it to make any difference once we get into tougher play?
And so that's I was sitting here just thinking, like, I'm pretty sure there's a 1, 2, 3 read on these plays. And when you're playing Alabama State and Akron, one's always there. So it looks fantastic.
Correct.
You can pick one and go to one because you know one's going to be where he's supposed to be. Demetrius Robertson is faster than anybody on Akron can cover. So what do you know? He's wide open and I can hit him for plays. But when one's not wide open, but two took a half second longer, if your pocket didn't collapse, and let's be clear, the pocket was not collapsing on Bo Nix by majority of the time.
Correct.
When he passed, he had time, enough time to make the proper read, and he did have room. Some of the finer points of repositioning in the pocket. As the pocket moves, as the defensive line attacks, you just find the pocket as it moves because it didn't just collapse on him. And then you make that second or third read. That's the next level for him. And it's not that it's impossible for him. But this was the first time in the first 3 games where it was, hey, one, I can just go to one. Yeah, but that didn't happen this time because now one was covered or one was shed.
Yeah.
And those were not happening.
And so let's be clear about a couple of things when it comes to that one. What I do see is pre-snap recognition. He's reading the correct side of the field that he's supposed to go to based upon what the defense says. He's just taking the wrong option on that side of the field. Like typically, when we talk about, there was one instance, if you watch the film on Monday, I pointed out a specific play where he went to shed up the left side, and if he had just come to the second read coming up the middle, Kobe Hudson had that safety beat easily.
Yeah, he put his foot in the ground and the dude just stumbled.
It was beautiful.
It was the correct side of the field to make the read too. He just did the wrong option on that side. So what's clear is that he's taking his pre-snap read and he's predetermining, okay, this is the side I'm going to go to, but he's also predetermining which guy he's going to throw it to. For some reason, he has this unearned confidence that Shedrick Jackson needs to be the guy that he's going to throw it to. I think part of that is because we have Shed lined up as the specific person that's going to get soloed on most of those things. So again, that goes back to me. So coaches putting people in the right positions to be able to do the stuff that they're asking them to do. Shed just doesn't seem to be that guy. Shed can actually be a decent, comeback route runner or a guy who's going to run some over the middle of the field stuff. If he can figure out like
he's
how to
the
take a hit.
receiver Bo checks down to.
Correct. He can be that guy. He just can't be your one-on-one jump ball, go out there and make a play for me guy. And if you're going to put him in that position, then I have to look at Cornelius Williams. What are we doing? Why are you putting Shedrick in the position to run this particular route on these play calls? Mike Bobo, when you know Shedrick is part of the package, why are you lining him up here? Move him somewhere else because he doesn't need to be that guy. So I have to ask, who's making the decisions in those situations? But again, it ultimately will come back to Bo Nix. Great. You've made the right read pre-snap. Post-snap, what does it tell you that you need to do? Who's going to be the guy open based upon what you're doing with that safety, what's happening with all this other stuff? He has to make that decision better. But I think that that's correctable stuff. The question, again, still proceeds. All right, great. If you make the right read, can you make the throw?
That's it. Yeah. Listen, throwing the ball with touch has been an issue for Bo.
Yeah.
Right. And it looked like it got better week 1. And then it turned out, under the lights, in the whiteout that it was not. As a matter of fact, it looked like it regressed. 1 to 10 on throws 20 yards. And like I said, none of those balls they were barely catchable. Some of them were absolutely not catchable. So, the fact that we kept throwing those passes was concerning because Conversely, on the other side of the field, Penn State didn't let Clifford do that.
Right.
Because it's a weakness for him too. So they limited him to only 5 of those throws. We doubled it up and only completed 1 pass. I think they got 2 of theirs. So were you going to get to that super chat?
Yeah, I was. I got it right here.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that one, right?
I am Hop mentioned number 5, Hudson 17, Canyon and 80 Capers are our best bets. Difference between 10-2, 8-4, or 7-5. I'm just eager to see what those guys can do because we've seen glimpses of it before. It's not like we haven't seen these guys play before. We know what they can do. We've been looking forward to seeing what they can do. The guys who are in front of them have not really shown, particularly, as it pertains to Jackson. I just want to see what these guys can do given the chance.
Right.
Yeah. We had one other one. I don't know if you guys saw this one. Please give me proof that Finley is better. I don't know that there's proof that exists.
Well, yeah, right. But again, we don't we don't know until you put him under the lights and we see. A lot of people would have said the same thing about Jarquez Hunter until you saw it.
Right.
But so the difference here between Jarquez Hunter and those guys is he showed it in practice. Like the reports out of practice where Jarquez Hunter was out there doing work.
That's true.
Right.
And he supposedly only missed time in the scrimmages because of the protocol. So
Correct. Yeah. Quarterback is a little bit of a different beast, man. Like I just think
agreed.
At the end of the day, you got to give Finley, he went out in his second game and he only threw 2 passes, but they were really good looking passes.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm stressing this week, you get him out there to kind of see what you got. And Finley, let him play 3 quarters if the game is out of hand by the second quarter.
And to be fair, I think I also want to bring up the fact that this was, if guys are coming out, you're establishing a new culture, a new regime. You say, here are my rules. Here's how we're going to operate. Do what I say do, and we're all going to get along. If they are rewarding the guys who most stuck to the script in the offseason and fall camp, I have no problem with riding with those guys to at least give them the shot because they did what you said to do. They practiced a certain way. And I mean, there was some chatter about that's why the guys who we thought would be starting at wide receiver weren't starting. And I don't have any idea if that's valid or not. But what I do know is I understand why you ride with the guys who bought in the most. That makes sense to me.
Right.
What we want to know now is when the guys who bought in can cash in, what are you going to do? Are you going to bench the guys who were the beacons of light as far as the examples being set in their position groups and on their side of the ball for a guy who, now, again, I'm assuming that the guys who were loafing before aren't loafing anymore. Because some guys may have not gotten what they thought they were going to get, and they start pouting, and they on the team, they showing up because they're going to get in trouble if they don't show up on time. But have they corrected that attitude? Has that been adjusted? Because if it hasn't been, and you're just over there pouting because you're not on the field, then maybe the coaches see that and they're like, "Listen, man, you don't have the right attitude.
Right.
This is a team sport. We want you to operate a certain way." So there's more than just who's the best ball catcher and route runner. And he still year one, he has to establish this culture and he has to stick to it. It's very important that he keep his word. He told some people that were projected to be starters, yeah, man, listen, we ain't for all that stuff. You can go find another team.
Right.
And they had to go find another team. So if he's willing to do that to people who have been here 2 years, if you've been here 1 or you just got here, Drayshawn Miller said, I'm going to the league, and he's not even playing.
Well, that's why I'm stressing. I think Malcolm Johnson has proven it that he's willing to work hard. He deserves those. To me, you turn on the tape. Again, I don't care about none of that. I didn't see practices. I don't know. Turn on the film. Malcolm's out there working.
Right.
Malcolm's definitely a better talent at wide receiver. I think he deserves the reps and the ball being thrown in his direction.
And the ball being thrown to him.
Right.
Not to go out there and block and run routes or against air for 3 quarters.
I think he deserves the ability or the chance to go out there and do that.
I got to say this.
Last point, Mike. Last point before we do our predictions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got to say this, right? To Ike's point about stuff that's correctable with Bo, about how you see the field, totally correctable. But I just want to tell you, I have exactly zero faith that he's going to suddenly develop touch midseason.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of QB gurus say you either got it or you don't.
Yeah, that's work. That's work that's done in the off season, not in the middle of the season. Is he going to start suddenly putting the right amount of air under the ball? That's a pipe dream. So if he's going to stay,
the Skyball stuff was just weird though, bro. Like you
Yeah.
didn't see that for 2 weeks, and in the third game, I was just like, what
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah, listen. What's going to happen is that if you're going to play him, then you have to understand again what his strengths and weaknesses are, and you have to call plays and manage a quarterback based on it. And if he goes out there and he does something different than what you told him to do, you bench him. That's it. So if you tell him to cut the crap on the 20-yard bombs that he can't hit, and he goes out there and throws it anyway, you bench him. I was very impressed with how Penn State managed Clifford. They kept him inside of himself. And let me tell you, so many throws he had that didn't even travel 5 yards through the air. They just kept him where he could make plays. We got to do the same thing with Bo if he's going to be our quarterback.
Well, it helps when our secondary was giving them everything they wanted, right?
Yeah, true.
Well, let's get to it.
I mean, there's no chance Georgia State wins.
Yeah.
What's the score? What's the score?
I don't know, a bunch of stuff to a lot, not very much. 55-10.
51-0.
Shut out.
Shut out.
Yeah, I'm gonna one up B, and I'm gonna go. I think this is our third 60-point game. I think they hang 60 on Georgia State because they can't stop them. I see a lot of quick scores, long runs, 50, 40-yard touchdown runs. We should beat this team like a drum, and they should not be able to move the ball on us at all. They already can't throw. So if they can't run, they don't have an offense.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for them to move the ball.
It should be hard.
I'm going 56-0.
Yeah, I'm going 60.
I'm the only person giving them a chance to score some points. Okay.
Yeah. What's yours, Mike?
I'll go 62-0.
62-0. What was yours again, Ike?
55-10.
55-10.
Which again, I don't really care.
Wait.
We're trying to use the score predictions as
63-0. 63-0.
I'm
just asking if it's going to be like a tiebreaker.
I mean, I get no. That don't make no sense. Nah.
Yeah. Wait.
We can't do that stupid particular.
63-0. I don't know why I said 62. 63-0.
We had 62 earlier. So.
Yeah, it's 9 touchdowns. I'm just saying, straight up 9 touchdowns, no field goals.
Field goals.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Will you be disappointed if we kick any field goals this game?
Yes. No field goals, man. Come out there and crush them. Don't get stopped. There's zero reason for us to get stopped on any play in this game. We should have 0 negative plays in this game. No sacks, no negative rushes. Nothing.
We're gonna definitely have some negative plays in this game.
Yeah,
100% is gonna happen.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
My one was perfection.
I bet.
Perfection.
Yeah, I do, man.
Gentlemen.
Even if we got all these new moving pieces, perfection.
Right. But like, so it's got to be negative plays.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Right. I'll tell you what. If we have 0 negative plays, I will give away a 4th T-shirt. Right.
That is a safe bet.
A stop for no gain does not count as a negative play.
No, I agree. It has to be negative yardage. It's gonna happen.
A sack counts as a negative play, by the way.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. We should not have any of that in this game, man. This should all be.
It's gonna happen in the first 3 drives.
I really hope I have to give away 4 T-shirts on Saturday. That would be amazing.
It'd be amazing. A shutout and no negative plays means that was close to flawless football played by our team.
Yeah, sure. We'll get the stats from Auburn right after. So scan down and see if it says negative anywhere.
Which will
how many
we'll
3 and outs?
Sure.
How many 3 and outs? Again, I think it should be 0 3 and outs, and it should be 0. Our running backs are averaging a whole half the field per run. It should not get stopped in this game. And but I'll tell you the thing to watch on defense. Listen, 17 on Penn State beat Troxel like he stole something. It was tough to watch. Our tackles had a rough game against Penn State. Now, so while Bo did have ample time to throw on a lot of plays, there was still pressure he could feel because those guys were getting beat so bad. Now, and I can't put that on Bo. I mean, those guys, 17 was just wreaking havoc against Austin Troxell. He's got to play better, or they got to figure something out over there. I mean, if you're watching the tape, you're attacking him. You're taking your best pass rusher and you're lining him up against Troxell.
Or you're blitzing through on that side. Yeah,
man. Yeah, we've got to fix that. That's going to be a problem as we get into the rest of this top 25 schedule we got left.
Carter says, does a penalty count, Mike G?
No, penalty doesn't count.
Facts or not, Carlson has 3+ field goals against Georgia State.
I hope not.
I'm going to go nah. I'm going to go heck nah.
I hope not. Let's see Finley, man. Let's see what he could do. It's time. It's time for us to see Finley a little bit and figure out what we have before we need it. Injuries happen, things happen. I just want to see Finley. I think he's prepared well. I think that he's trained hard and tried hard, and I think he's put the work in. All accounts are that he's put the work in. So whether he's there or not, nobody's there until they're there. He had just a rough freshman campaign as Bo had at times, and he only played 5 or 6 games. In a COVID season.
Yeah.
Right. So I cut this kid some slack and just put him out there. If he can't get it done, he can't get it done. We go back to Bo. It is what it is. Right. I just think it's likely that we see a quarterback change for the end of the season if all things stay the same.
Okay.
Before we get out, I want to give love to Shanker, man. Shanker was steady, dependable.
Hey, my man, yeah.
All Bo's passes, 20 yards or in, were laser darts, and they were good.
Did you know
and Shanker caught every one of those things, man. He is dependable. I'm glad.
Speaking of Shanker, we have a tight end with 10+ receiving, 10+ catches this year, in the first time since
2014.
2014. 7 year. The 7-year drought is over. We have a tight end 3 games in over 10 catches. So things are different in this
Parsons offenses, right? Like, you're going to get the tight end involved.
So that's refreshing to see. And if you're watching on replay, we want to know your score of the game in the comments as well. Mike G, you got some announcements before we get out of here?
Yeah, listen, big shout out to our sponsor, auburnsports.com. We appreciate you, JG Tate. Go over there, see the Commodore. He'll be live on game day as well. Become an insider so you can hang out with us on game day. We are having a great time with these pregame, halftime, and post games with y'all. It's so much fun hanging out with all our insiders. So I appreciate everybody who's been joining us for that. We keep that insider only. It effectively keeps the trolls out. There was one particular Penn State troll that is still on the loose. They need to catch him and put him in YouTube jail. But we are keeping that exclusive to our insiders. You guys are our supporters, so we want to keep that whole experience clean and neat for you. We appreciate you guys. $5.99. That's it. That's all you need, and that helps us do a lot of things that we're doing, because on Mondays when we go back to look at the film, the support that you guys give us allow Ike and I to carve out the time to be able to go back and chop up every single play. We bring you every single play on Mondays. So we appreciate everybody who's done that. Congratulations to our raffle winner. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to help save puppies. You guys know the drill. We still got about $325 to go to meet our monthly goal, $500 raised for the Lee County Humane Society. Help us save some puppies, guys. Every little bit counts. It doesn't matter if you can donate $1, $2, $5, $50, whatever you have in your heart to give at the time. We appreciate. I know that it is tough times for a lot of people, so sometimes it may feel like we're asking for a lot, but this is the karma that we've chosen to put out in the world. We hope you'll join us in helping them save puppies and, help a family find the joy that some of us have found here at the War Rapport. Our merch store is live. You can find us in the About section of our YouTube channel. So if you didn't win a mug, or if you haven't won anything yet, you can always go to our merch store and purchase the things that we're giving away as well. Help support our content. We are live on podcast, people. Brian is working hard to bring you guys these podcasts. So our Wednesday Night War Room is on podcast, Apple, Spotify, whatever you listen to podcasts on. The War Report is there. We're looking forward to bringing you more of that content in the future as well. Last but not least, as a perk for becoming an insider, we're giving away tickets to the Georgia game, guys. If you are an insider, you automatically have 3 entries into this raffle. Now, in fairness, no repeat winners. So if you've already won tickets, you cannot win again. But we appreciate you. And we want to send you to the Georgia game on us. Felix, if you're still in the chat, man, make sure you come back Sunday and tell everybody how sweet those seats were. We definitely got some good seats. Jeremy Redding, Jeb Shaner, those guys have won if you see them in the chat. So we're definitely giving that way. We will be down on the plains tailgating for the Georgia game as well too. So if you win these tickets, you'll have a chance to meet up with us at the tailgate. I'll be around the state. I'm going to be covering it from the press box, but looking forward to seeing some of you guys out there on Georgia week. My plane ticket is booked coming down from DC. It's going to be an amazing time. I can't wait.
Definitely. For those of you who are in the comments, you are correct. It was CJ Uzama. That was the last tight end to get at least 10 receptions in a season. Sal Cannella actually got moved to wide receiver. For those of you who get Sal, you got Gus to thank for that. Now, for those of you still watching, please be sure to share this video on your social media using hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. We appreciate that. And on your way out, if you haven't already, please like this video. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Please subscribe to our channel so you'll be updated on our content when it releases. You can also find us on social media at The War Rapport. That's Twitter and Instagram. And if you're a TikToker, we are at TW Rapport. As it for now, guys, we will see you this weekend. Of course, you got betting will be wheel dropping soon, as well as facts or nah. So stay tuned for that. But until then, guys, have a great rest of your week. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.